Hey guys, it's Justin here again, and welcome back to lesson number 2 for the Nutrition Made Simple coaching course. Today's lesson is all about body typing and how that affects your meals. So let's go ahead and start with a quick recap. If you just got through lesson number 1, you're going to remember that a protein is the size of your palm. Okay, size, thickness of your palm. One carb, so a starchy carb or your fruits, is the size of a cupped hand, while a vegetable, your fibrous vegetable, is the size of your fist. Okay, and then a fat is the size of your thumb. All right, that's where we left off. That's on portion sizing. I also told you that women should aim for 1 serving of each of those at every meal, while men should aim for 2 servings of each of those 4 categories at each meal. Okay. Now today we're going to move into body typing and how that affects what you should be eating. Okay, so if you are an ectomorph, you're going to eat a little bit differently than a mesomorph versus a endomorph. And I'm going to go over those real quickly, explain to you what the difference between those body types is and which one you are, so you can figure out how you should be eating. So let's start with the ectomorph. Okay, they're on the far left of the scale. Now these people tend to be a little bit taller. They're typically your tall, lanky people, right? Think back when you're in high school, they did well on endurance sports. Usually, they naturally stay lean. These are the people who seem to be able to eat whatever they want, and it doesn't really matter for them. Okay, these people also tend to be fidgety. Okay, and that's one of the big ways you can really tell is these people tend to be fidgety. They don't like to sit around. They don't like to not do things. Okay, now the ectomorph body type has a bit of a higher natural metabolism. They're set to rev. They're always going. Okay, and these body types do a little bit better on a lower fat, higher carb diet. So if you're an ectomorph, your starting point is going to actually be, as a woman, 1 protein per meal, 1 veggie per meal. Oops, 1 veggie. We're going to up it to 2 carbs per meal, and then we'll cut our fats down to 1/2. Okay, so we're basically cutting our fats in half, adding an extra carb per meal. Now men, same rules. You're still going to go to 2 proteins to 2 veggies, right? We're going to add in a 3rd carb, but drop it down to 1 fat. Okay. Now again, that's for an ectomorph, and that's where we're going to start. So same protein, same veggies. We're going to up by 1 serving our carbs, and then cut our fats in half, if you're that body type. The second type is your mesomorph. Now these are your generally more your athletic build, right? This is the middle ground, right? If they're active, if you're exercising, you put on muscle fairly quickly, fairly easily, right? You have that good natural athletic body. You know, it tends to be a bit more aesthetically pleasing with less work. Okay, and they're the middle ground from your metabolic standpoint, and these are the people who are going to go with our older or our standard recommendations. For women, you want 1 protein, 1 fat, 1 carb, and 1 vegetable. Well, men double that. They want their 2 proteins, their 2 veggies, their 2 carbs, and their 2 fats. Okay, that's where the standard recommendation comes from, is from those body types. The third body type is going to be your endomorphic body type. Okay, now this body type tends to be a bit bigger naturally, right? They have a little bit bigger bone structure. They tend to put on weight faster, right? Not necessarily good weight, but they tend to put it on faster than the other 2 body types. And it's a little bit easier for them to gain weight, a little bit harder for them to lose weight, typically. Okay. The other big thing, these are the opposite of the ectomorphs in that they are set to idle. These people tend to want to sit around more. Okay, they're very comfortable sitting and resting for long periods of time. Okay, now if you're an endomorph like that, you're going to do better on a lower carb, higher fat diet. So what we're going to do for you as a woman, you're going to start with 1 protein and 1 veggie, just like before. Okay, we're going to cut your carbs down to 1/2 of a serving, and we're going to up your fats to 2. Okay, so same thing. We are adding an extra serving of fats per meal, and we are cutting our carbs in half. For men, same rules apply. Same 2 servings of protein, same 2 servings of veggies. Okay, we're going to cut the carbs down to just 1 serving instead of 2, but we're going to add in a 3rd serving of fats. Okay, that's again because this body type tends to do better on a low carb diet. Okay, now here's the big thing, and I really want to make sure that I point this out to you guys and we really kind of understand it. These 3 mesomorphs, or these three different body types are a good guideline, but very few people are actually truly any specific one. Myself, for example, I have a mesomorph body type, but I'm not a true mesomorph. I actually lean towards the endomorph a little bit. Okay, so for me, a balanced diet that's slightly lower in carbs works best, that I found. Okay, my wife, she is more of an ectomorph towards a mesomorph. So she's not truly one or the other. She's about in the middle. She does better on a little bit higher carb diet. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to kind of decide and use the descriptions I gave to decide which body type you're closest to and start there. Okay, and then that brings us to the next big step is you have to kind of play with it, see how it's working. Okay, like I said, you probably won't be truly one or the other, but you can experiment, pushing your diet a little bit one way, pushing it a little bit a different way. Find out what works best for you, and the only way to really do that is through a little bit of trial and error. But these 3 points are a great starting point that I gave you. So again, we're going to review those really quick. Your ectomorph, they tend to be fidgety. They tend to have a higher metabolism. They do better on a low-fat, higher-carb diet. So 1 protein, or same protein, same vegetables, okay? Cut your fats in half, add an extra serving of carbohydrates. So for women, that's 1 protein, 1 veggie, 2 carbs, half a fat. For men, 2 proteins, 2 veggies, only 1 fat, but 3 carbs. Okay? In your mesomorph, right, that's your middle, that's your athletic build, we're looking at, for women, 1 protein, 1 veggie, 1 carb, 1 fat. While men have double that, 2 proteins, 2 veggies, 2 carbs, and 2 fats. And then as we get into our endomorph, our larger build, our more idle build, right? These people do better with a lower carb, higher fat diet. So we're going to stick with, for women, 1 protein, 1 veggie, only half of a carb, so you got to cut that down a little bit, but 2 fats. For men, 2 proteins, 2 veggies, only 1 carb, but 3 fats. Okay, so there you have it. That is how body typing affects what your nutrition should be. Now, hang around, join me for lesson 3, where we're going to talk about nutrition or nutrient deficiencies. And this is actually what I feel should be the first one, even though it's not the most glamorous. It's not where most people want to start, but this is crazy important. I view this lesson as a baseline. All right, guys, this has been Justin with CoachCox.com, and I'll see you for lesson 3.